Welcome to the Dr. Ini Adesanya podcast. I have various US and international accounting and tax designations, a master's in tax, and a PhD in business administration with a concentration in finance and accounting. Over the past 2 decades, I have helped several SMEs succeed. This podcast will provide strategies and resources to help startups and existing businesses thrive. Let's get started. Now, I know the goal of this podcast or this podcast is to make sure that your startup or your existing business thrives, right? But some people still don't have a business, right? And I always say that no matter how great your job is, I know that most people, a lot of people have W-2s, or the job, they work for an employer. I would say that it's good to have a side business, right? Some people have turned that side business to a full-time job. So before we get into thriving and having fun in our business, because if your business is successful, of course, you'll have fun in the business. Let me just tell you a couple of reasons why, if you haven't started a business, you should start that business. All right. So first of all, starting a business beats uncertainty, right? A lot of companies hire people at will. What does it mean? That means that you can be fired for no reason, all right? And so many people don't know this when they sign a contract, because that's what at will means, right? Something might happen. I just don't want to have you as my staff anymore. And so that's really the uncertainty, right? So many people saw that during COVID. A lot of times employers just allowed their staff to go, right? Now, I know sometimes it was because of trying situations, but even before COVID, at will means they can let you go anytime, all right? Another reason why you should start a small business, or we call it a side hustle, is because it generates extra income, So a lot of times people have habits, or they have, things they do, hobbies, right? I will not say really habits, but hobbies. And now, of course, there's some issues with, is the hobby a business or the hobby not a business? That is a different discussion entirely. But if you example, some people that I know, someone that she's into the medical field and she actually bakes very well, right? And so, she does that. Sometimes she does it and gives people cakes as a gift for their birthday and things like that. And so, a lot of people have said, I love what you do. You have, fantastic. You are doing well when it comes to, your cake is just delicious, right? And, things like that. And then I encourage people that have that kind of things like that are passionate about that. Why don't you just start a side business? Do that on the side, and of course they'll come to a criteria. We'll look at hobby or business. Again, that's a different criteria, different discussion. But I just want to encourage people that people that really started business, or people that have existing business. Sometimes they started in their basement. They started at the backyard. And so just to encourage everyone that, what is important to start, it's good to have that in your mind that, okay, I love what I do. So because of that, I want to do this on the side. Another important reason to have a business or start a business is because you can hire your family. I know that in this podcast, series, or throughout this podcast, I'll have things like, I'll discuss things like why you should hire your family members. But just know that it's so great that you can get your family member to work for you and they get paid, right? So beautiful to have a business that does that, and just one of the reasons why you should have that. Another reason have the business. Another reason is flexibility, right? Flexibility. Now, when we're looking at flexibility, some businesses, right, are not just 9-to-5 jobs. Some businesses exist that you can work in the afternoon. You can work in the evening. Some people fill orders for people, like, people that are into maybe, I know I have a friend that actually makes chocolate, and I know Christmas is coming, and Thanksgiving, and this is her time, right? So she does that, and she's actually made it into a very good business. So it just depends on how you want to do it. Of course, I know that certain businesses have time, like the time that have times that things have to be filled out, right, or packaged or delivered, right? We know that Valentine Day, when it comes to that time, we know people in chocolate businesses and all things into things like exotic snacks, people deliver that. So that might be, might not be that flexible with time, but some people just make that money. Like I said, Christmas, Thanksgiving, they make a lot of money, so that during some months they can just say, you know what, I'm going to be laid back, right? So the beauty again is flexibility, right? You're flexible. Another reason is innovation. I mean, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but when you come up with something, you just come up with a way to improve a process or something like that, increase profit. Yes, you might get a bonus, which is great. You might not, but if you come up with an innovate, and maybe a product in the company you're working for, that product is owned by the company. That product is owned by the company. So just to let everybody know that that product becomes the company's product. All right. It's not your product. It's not because you're an employee. It's not your product. It's the company's product. All right. So just to make sure we get that. So another reason, if you come up with something, an idea, sometimes it takes time. It takes time to bring that idea to life. I know, because if you work for a company and you bring that idea and tell them, this is what I want to do, usually they provide resources for it to get to where it's the finished line, right? But if it's something that you created, right, on your own, yes, it might take some time to get funding and get things in place. But at the end of the day, guess what? It's your product. Is your product. So just to make sure we know that these are the reasons, right, that you can actually decide to start a business. Another reason is incentives. A lot of people don't know this, but there are a lot of government incentives for small and medium-sized businesses, right? The government appreciates you coming out or going out of your way to help the economy, because you know what? You might not know this, but a large percentage of the employers are really small businesses. So just wanted to encourage you, because a lot of times, you might be wondering, okay, I'm not really going to listen to this podcast because it doesn't really involve me. It doesn't really, I don't really think, but this is for me. But guess what? I'm sure somehow, I know an engineer that actually makes wreaths for holidays, for this coming fall. The lady will make wreaths and sell to people, of course, Christmas wreaths and things like that, but she's doing it. So I'm asking, and sometimes I often ask, isn't that a business for you to actually make good money? So I know that it's not easy, because of course, to start a business, you have to decide that you're going to start a business, because it's not just saying it, but you have to put in the work, you have to put in the time, you have to make sure that you're focused and say, you know what, I'm waking up to do the work, I'm waking up to do this, to start this. Nobody's going to wake you up to go to work. it's you have to motivate yourself. And so it's like you have to push yourself to do it, right? It's like having a deadline. I mean, I'm an accountant, and so I know what it means to have a deadline. I have to, like, it's like push when you have a deadline. So in this case, when it comes to businesses, nobody's gonna, I mean, you don't push yourself, you don't make the money. So you have to have that mindset. So there's a different kind of mindset you have to have. But I just wanted to put it out there because, this podcast is generally to help startups and to help existing businesses thrive, right? That's the goal. You don't want to just exist. You don't want to just be in the survival mode. You want your business to thrive. But I just wanted to put it out there that, it's so important that you really sit back. If you don't have something that you're doing right now, that you really sit back and say, okay, you know what? I think I'm actually doing this. I'm just doing this, and I think I just want to make sure that I do more, put more effort into it, so that I will really do well in this business. All right, in the business I want to start, on the business I've been thinking of, right? So yes, so those are the few pointers I wanted to start with in this first episode 101. I just wanted to start with that, just to open the knowledge base of people that are just contemplating here and there, right? So now the next segment of this podcast is question and now I have a few questions that were sent in, and I'm going to go through them, a few of them, before we go into the final segment.
Hi, Dr. Annie. My name is Dorica Moffat. I have a small business. Do I need a staff handbook? Thanks.
Okay, this is somebody asking about a staff handbook, if it's necessary for a business, a small business, to have a staff handbook. A lot of people take, human resources for granted because it's a small business. But I really want to tell you that the workplace has changed completely, right? You have staff working with you, and you have to put boundaries, let them know what is supposed to be done and what is not supposed to be done. Now, I have a specialist from ADP going to speak on this topic in a few episodes down the line. But I just want to let you know that, yes, you should have a staff handbook. You should have a guide, right? I have seen cases where employees that, because they're small business, right? Everybody's very close. Like they have a very good relationship, because it's not like they have different departments, 20 departments, and department one does not somebody in department A, let's say in merchandising, doesn't know someone in the technical support. They don't really know each other because they're in different departments. Usually small businesses, they're really close together. Like, you have maybe a few people working in the same office, so they relate more than large businesses. So people take it for granted. Now, it's so important that there are rules, guidelines set in place for staff, and also for bosses. For you are the owner of the business. You also have to know what is it, how do you relate with your staff, right? How do you relate with your staff? How does your staff relate with each other? How do your staff relate with each other? So it's very important for you to know that. So yes, a staff handbook is very important. And again, I said, one of my podcasts, I'm going to bring a specialist from ADP to speak about the staff handbook and why it's very important. So yes. So let me see if I can see another question. Let me see just a few before we go to the other segment.
Hi, Doctor. My name is Jesse Osano, and I was wondering, is it good to have a business partner to succeed in my business?
Okay. This person is asking if it's good to have a business partner to succeed in the person's business. Now, I'm not against business partners, right? Even most professional firms have business partners and they know how to share the liability. But I'm sure in this case, this person is talking about, just a general small business, maybe not a professional business, which is common for professional businesses. Like, as I said, some doctors come together, some accountants, form a partnership. Now, when it comes to businesses like general businesses, there's nothing wrong with having a partnership, right? Usually it happens that maybe one person is and there's some businesses, one person is more technically sound than the other person. The other person might be more of, let's see, one is technical, the other person might be more of, more of market. The person is marketing, person is very good in marketing, right? Sometimes, you actually form a business so that, form a partnership so that the other person can bring capital in, bring money in, so there's nothing wrong with having a partner to grow your business, right? It's not like you really need, if the question is that, do you really need a partner? Not necessarily. You can have a business and be the sole owner of a business, right? And have people working with you. Now, if you want to bring in a partner, I would say, please, please, please make sure you have a partnership agreement, right? Now, it's not really mandatory to have a partnership agreement, but I would say that I personally would say it's mandatory, but I believe it's not mandatory in some states, but I would say it should be, it's personally, that means that when something is not mandatory, it means that you can either have it or you don't need, it's not really needed. But I would say, if it's me or if I'm advising somebody, I would say, please have a partnership agreement. This is why. Now, in partnership agreements, right, sometimes, friends come together, and because there's no partnership agreement, right, there becomes an issue, right? Becomes an issue. Now, when friends come together, it's not always like they are not trusting each other. You see, they're not trusting each other, right? They could be that somebody might misinterpret something. Do you get? Somebody might say, oh, I thought he meant this or she meant this, right? But when it's in writing, there's nothing like misunderstanding or misinterpretation. So yes, it's good to have a partner, but make sure they're in clear terms. And another question I know would follow that would be, what about if the partner is my sibling? What about is my cousin? What about the family member? I would say the more reason, because we don't want families to split up. I've seen cases that families, because of really not setting things in place, right? Businesses close down, right? Businesses close down because partners, family members just assume that, oh, it's my brother, it's my sister, or it's my cousin. We know we're the same family. Everything is fine. Please, please, because we don't want families to break because of a misunderstanding that could have been avoided. So even if you're going to business with a sibling, please put the terms and conditions of that business in writing. I just want to stress that. Please put it in writing. It's so important. I've handled cases that people just, realize that this person was not straightforward with the other. But I would say that I don't really put it at first of all straight, not being, straightforward. I would say sometimes it's really misunderstanding, misinterpretation, right? So I would say, please, 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 please. If you do, having a partnership to grow a business is not mandatory, but if you do have a partnership or a partner of you, if you do form a partnership, please, 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 please put it in writing. All right. I think we have time to answer one more question, and then we'll just move to the last section. Let's see. Let me see. I think I have one more question too. I think I got another question. Let me see. And I'll tell you at the end of the podcast how to send questions. Okay, I think this is
Thank you.
Let's see.
Hi, Dr. Ini. My name is Eno Amoda. I just started a small business and I want to know, do I apply for an EIN number or can I use my social security number for my business?
Okay. Oh, this person is asking about an EIN. EIN is employment identification, employer, not employer identification number. So it's an EIN or she's asking, do I use an EIN or a social security number? And for those that don't know what an EIN is, or I've said the name, but an EIN, really to explain it further, is like it's a business's social security number. That explains it. A business's social security number. So if you're a business, right, and you have an EIN, it's just like saying that is an individual's social security number. That's likened to an individual's social security number. And my answer to that question, that please do not use your social security number for your business. Please do not use it. Remember, when it's like exposing yourself everywhere. We are supposed to protect our social security number, but if you're using your social security number for your business, businesses, anybody that processes your payment in your business will be using your social security number. Anywhere that it goes related to a business, it will be showing your social security number. Please. So my answer is, do not use your social security number. Do not use it for your business. Please do not do that. Go apply for an EIN and use that going forward for your business. Is so important. Please, very important. You don't want anybody, your social security number to be out there. Okay. So that answers that question. All right. So the last segment of this podcast is usually, this segment is when I bring somebody that has a business issue and we'll discuss that, or I bring a specialist that will speak during this segment, or I give some tips on any item at all. So on this podcast, I'm going to give you a couple of tips on a few things that I believe is very important for any business to know, any individual. Okay. Now, bankruptcy, right? Bankruptcy. Those that know, we know what it is. Bankruptcy, you can't pay your debts. People say, oh, the easiest way to go is to file for bankruptcy. Is the easiest and is the best way to go there. File for bankruptcy and you will be fine. And then, so you don't have to pay those debts. And I want to state here, please, make sure that filing for bankruptcy is your last resort. Let's say that there's no other way out. Because when you file for bankruptcy, your business suffers, or that you cannot, is like not being able to move forward for the next 7 years. And so, sometimes things happen, life happens, right? Things get difficult. I would say, go to your creditor, work out a plan. Some banks will say, you know what, pay as you can, reduce, they can even reduce your payment. They can work out something with you, right? Because, if you go into bankruptcy, you can't even, progress when it comes to another business funding, right? There's an example I'll give about, there's someone that actually, was a very successful idea. This was a slam dunk idea that it was a professional slam dunk idea. And the person went for funding, into a bank for funding. And the bank was so happy to, oh God, this is really a great idea. And it was, oh my goodness, everything was like, the I's were dotted, T's, everything looked perfect. But you know what happened? The bank found out that this person filed for bankruptcy a couple of years back. And that was the end of the deal. That was the end. The money was literally about to get into this person's hands. because it was very, it was a very successful idea. Everything was approved. There were even that payments were actually coming, were already sort of set in place for the future. So it's not like it wasn't something that money would not be paid. But when this was seen, when the bank, of course, banks have to do some investigation, checking and everything, because that was the last step before releasing the funds. And they found out this person filed for bankruptcy. That was the end of the deal. End of the deal. So this, in my concluding part of this podcast today, please let bankruptcy filing be your last resort, right? Talk to your creditors, explain to them that, okay, things happen, that could they reduce a payment, or could they give you a time that you don't have to pay for a couple of months? Just talk to them, because they would prefer you saying, okay, yes, no problem. I can work out something for now. You tell them this is what's going on. Maybe you lost your job. Could you defer something for me? But let it not be that, okay, that there are so many avenues out and you decide to file for bankruptcy, right? Please make sure you're very, very on top of things and don't let that happen to you. All right. I think I have in a few minutes to add one more pointer. I know that there are, okay, well, let me just finalize with this bankruptcy, because there's something else that I know that some creditors that actually work with consolidating debts. Look for those kind of people. Make sure that you work with those people. This is so important to me because, I saw this happen when, it was like, oh my goodness. That was, something that was just supposed to be a beautiful thing, could not move forward because of bankruptcy. So I would say, please, again, work with maybe people that consolidate debt, work with people that could actually, negotiate debt with, and make sure that debt goes, you could reduce your debt somehow, but do not let bankruptcy be the last resort. Yes. Okay. I think that's that's enough the time I have it today, with everyone today. So, tune in next time for the next podcast. We'll be going live, I believe effective, second week of October. It will be on every Tuesday, and it will be live on Tuesdays. The podcast will be live. That's from the second week of, I think I can actually check the date to make sure that the goal is to make it live from October. Yes, October 11th will be the first live podcast. We'll go live, and then before then, I would put it on my website on how to call in during the live events. How to call in and ask questions. All right. Okay, then. So have a good one. See you next time. And of course, my website is driniadesanya.com. All right. All right. Take care. Bye. Thanks for having me. Remember to join my live podcast on Tuesdays, 6 to 6:45 p.m. Central Standard Time. Visit my website, driniadesanya.com, for details. Till next time, bye for now.